How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. Hope you're having a spectacular day. If you guys would, please give this video a thumbs up. If you guys do enjoy it, subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, hit the bell notification button. Select all for all notifications so you guys don't miss out on future videos. I do apologize. Still fighting a slight cold. It's all in my head now instead of my throat. So I do apologize. But moving on, we're going to be talking about Stephen King's The Stand from 1994. Yes, it has been redone a couple years ago. And I don't plan to watch it. I don't plan to watch the reimagining because a lot of times the reimagining just it gets certain things wrong. And to me, it's like, okay, it's based on the Stephen King novel. So, kind of like with it. Um, I went into this movie completely. It's not even a movie; it's a mini series. But I'm going to call it a movie for just the sake of keeping things simple. I went into this movie with no expectations. Watched it with some family members; they didn't know what to expect either. I didn't watch any trailers, teasers, any clips online. I'm just like, okay, they had this DVD for $3 and Blu-ray for $7 on Amazon, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna snatch this. I'll watch it. Looks interesting. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of world, and it's a Stephen King, you know, film based on a book of his. So, it could be really good. It could be really wild. It could be really weird. It could be really bad, and I think it's a lot of those things. It's all of those things put together. There's a lot of things in here. There's a lot of scenes in this film that are really well done, like 10 out of 10. There's also parts in the film where I'm just like, okay, why are we doing like seriously, every single part, especially in part like 3 and 4, there's like an abundance of sex. Like I get it, but it's like, okay, can we move on, please? Now, if you guys are wondering, it is rated R because there's a lot of violence and there is a lot of sex. Um, the sex doesn't show anything. Nothing is shown. It's all to your mental imagination, but it does a good job at least doing that. The violence, it is there's parts in it where I'm like, okay, this is kind of like PG-13, and then there's other parts of the violence that is like rated R, especially in the last two parts. The more you go on, by the way, there's 4 parts to this miniseries. The more you go deeper into this world that Stephen King created, the darker and the more adult it gets. So, part one is the virus gets out, this super flu gets out, starts killing people, and then by the end of part one, 99% of the population of humanity on Earth is just wiped out by it. Part two goes into a bunch of dreams. We get introduced to a bunch of side characters that are honestly pointless because all they do is die in part 3 and 4. Um, Part three is the main group has all grouped together. The good guys are all in their little zone, and all the bad guys that are following this evil antichrist like character, they're in their zone. And so both societies, kind of like Walking Dead in a way, both societies are trying to create a committee, trying to form, a new government head. They're trying to get the power back on and, try to get back to life as normal. Part four is when both sides realize, okay, we both don't like each other. What if this group has nukes? What if this person has planes? And so it becomes like a spy espionage thing. And of course, one group has to make their stand against the other in order to claim dominance. This horror post-apocalyptic world does a good job at all that. It's also very disturbing to think about the fact that this book came out before COVID. Okay? And this show, like I said, it was released in 1994. If you go and watch this film, realize that it's kind of disturbing that Stephen King had such a insight into what COVID possibly could be. It it's very it's very similar to that in a way. The show also deals with the survivors. They're constantly having to fight to stay alive, especially for the first two parts. And at the end, they make their stand against this antichrist like character. The film is full of biblical or religious themes and characters a lot of people are going to be able to relate to, including, there's visions and there's trips to and from this heaven like area, allowing advice to be given by a godlike character called Mother Abigail, which there's, like I said, there's parts of it that are good, and then there's other parts I'm just like, okay, this is really weird. The last part, especially, I'm just like, what is going on? Like how the Antichrist gets defeated, it's kind of cheesy. He gets killed by a nuke by this energy thing called the Hand of God, and I'm just like, okay, it was really weird. Um, part one, I think, is the weakest part because it just takes too long introducing you to the virus. It takes too long introducing you to the world and to the characters. It also introduces this gay subplot between these two military guys, and I'm just like, shoot me, stuff something down my throat so I don't have to see this. It doesn't add anything to the actual characters or to the plot. It's just there to make a certain group happy. So if you enjoy that, good for you. Um, Moving on. All the other characters, though, I do care about. You do care about the characters' well-being. You do care about um, when certain characters do die, and there's a lot of characters that do die, especially in part 3 and 4. Um, like from the main group of people that survived the flu. When those characters die, you do have um, a sadness in you, and they kind of do like this Avengers Endgame thing, which is kind of funny. It's like, hey, just remember these characters are dead now, and I'm just like, yeah, but I don't care because your movie's about to be over in 2 minutes, so I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Um, and you know, and a reason why you care about these characters is because you spend so much time with them. Like I said, there's 4 parts to this miniseries, and each part is like minimum an hour and a half. There's a couple parts that like are almost 2 hours. So this is a long endeavor. This is longer in terms of a miniseries. This is longer than Dinotopia. Check out my review. That movie slash miniseries is awesome. Highly encourage you guys to watch it. But there is just so much time given to the characters and the world, um, which is strange because when you watch part one and part one ends, when you start up part two, there's a time jump. And you're like, okay, how did this person get this? And how did this person get that? And why are they here now? And why are they doing this? And then when you start up part three, you're like, okay, this character is now pregnant now. And I'm like, when did that happen? I guess it's one of those things where you kind of have to read the book. There is a lot of time jumping in between parts 1, 2, 3. And it just feels weird because you're just like, okay, now I not only am I trying to watch what's happening on screen, but I'm also having to play catch up on my mind because okay, now this character is doing this because of this, and I'm just like, but they weren't doing this when part two ended, so I'm like, why? It's kind of weird. Last two things I want to talk about. Cars. Okay, this is a post-apocalyptic world. Okay, I'm not a gasoline expert, but I can tell you a couple basic things about gasoline. Okay, cars require them in order to keep running. Yeah. Um, the cars in this film, and I don't know, I've never read the book, so I'm going based on the film. But the cars in this movie, the cars, the automobiles, bicycles, and everything, they never run out of gas. These things never run out of gas. You never see them fueling up at a gas station. Also, it's like months and years after the virus. It gets to a point where, like, okay, even if they got to a gas station, the gasoline at the gas station would be spoiled. It would not. There is a life date. There is a lifeline to gasoline. So, um, I don't understand how these automobiles are constant. All four parts have automobiles, and they never run out of gas, except for one little bicycle. And it kind of just breaks the rest of the canon logic for the film. And I'm just like, okay, really? Yours runs out of gas finally? And because you're in the middle of nowhere, you can't get gas. I'm just like, oh, the gasoline in this post apocalyptic world thing just makes no sense. The ending also, like I said, it's wild, it's weird, but it is satisfying, and um, that was the biggest thing I was concerned about. It's like, okay, how are they going to wrap up all these characters? How are they going to wrap up all these plots? Does it do it in a good way? Yeah, but it is a very bizarre way, and it's not what I was expecting, and that's okay. I just like, okay, I guess this works. It works. It's satisfying enough that it concludes what part one started. Um, but it was a wild ride. If you're looking for something that's really bizarre and just really goes crazy and goes places and kind of feels unpredictable because of that nature, I think this movie slash miniseries is going to be for you. I think you'll enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much once I had wrapped up and finished watching it. Um, I wish the film stayed more to just being more of a post-apocalyptic survival of the fittest kind of thing, and steered away from the whole biblical religious stuff. Anytime that stuff was on screen, anytime they were making, the main bad guy villain of the evil group, this antichrist figure, it kind of derailed the plot of the main purpose of the film. And at the end, I'm watching it and watching with some family members, and they're like, "Well, what was the point of this?" And I'm like, "Entertainment." I don't know what the moral of this film was. I don't understand what the message was. What was the purpose of me going through this 8-hour adventure? What was the purpose? And I can't tell you. So, like I said, it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of things I enjoyed about it, a lot of things I didn't. But it is an interesting watch, and if you can get this for like $7-10 on Blu-ray, I think watching it at least once to say you've seen it would be definitely highly recommended. You'll enjoy it for that part at least. So with that, guys, I'm going to give The Stand from 1994 a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Have an excellent day. Look forward to more content coming soon.